Monica Makes It Happen podcast is proudly supported by Goya. If it's Goya, it has to be good. And by JP Morgan Chase, New York's hometown bank for over 225 years.
Hi, everybody. You're watching the Monica Makes It Happen podcast. I'm not quite sure what number this is because we've done so many now. Thanks to you and thanks everyone for always watching. And we like to have some of the movers and shakers. Today, it's really of Hollywood and the Hispanic community. I can't even believe he's here. I call you a historian, but you're an author. You are an executive. You're a finance guy, a former finance guy turned, I think, hero for the Hispanic community, if I could say so myself. Rafael Rivera is here, and he has a name for Hollywood. That's like a Hollywood name that we could put in lights. But he also is an author that's making sure to preserve the history of so many heavy hitters in our community that really paved the way. And as usual, right, Rafael, a lot of times history isn't always reflective of the truth.
Absolutely.
And so you've made it your mission to kind of make sure that that's not the case. So let's find out a little bit about you. So there's going to be 3 parts here. We're going to talk about his story. You're going to fall in love with Rafael. You're going to find out about his books if you want to support him. And there's a real mission here in mind to tell these stories and make sure that we know about them. Our community knows about them. So Rafael, tell me, first of all, who are you? If there's a quick way to describe, you are an amazing person, but who are you?
Well, I'm the kind of person who is always trying to learn as much as possible about contributions that are made by Latinos, not only in Hollywood, but in music and politics, in the social arena. I think it's important that we are able to document all these important contributions and positive imaging of our people, Latinos.
And you have a lot of books here, of course, and this one. You are from Puerto Rico?
Yes, I was born in the center of the island in a town called Utuado. And I was born in a coffee farm with midwives, by the way. There was no hospitals nearby. And I lived there till I was about 8 years old. And then I was transferred to, my mom brought me to the South Bronx in 1949.
And we love that. And there's so much historical value. You started Hostos, the Hispanic Hall of Fame. Let me just tell a little bit too. You're writer, producer, director, financial executive, a founding member of the Hispanic Academy of Media Arts and Sciences, and of course the formation of the National Hispanic Media Coalition. You're a powerhouse. You're also a producer of some very big Hollywood films, which some of my favorite Hollywood films, and they've won so many Academy Awards on Golden Pond.
Yes, well, I handled all the financial negotiations of the movie on Golden Pond. And after that, we were very successful. We won about, I think, 5 Academy Awards for that.
I love how he says that like it's,
Then I was involved in putting together all the negotiations, financial aspects of a movie called Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, one of the best films.
So that
ever.
those 2 films propelled me to a higher position, and I was in Hollywood, but I was lonely. So during my time off, I would go through the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I was looking for names of Latinos, and how do you find too many? But
Still a problem to this day, yes.
Yeah, but I was able to go into these alleyways where there's these memorabilia shops. And each of the shops had a little sign that said Latinos in Hollywood.
And when was this again?
This was 1981.
In the 80s, okay.
The beginning of the, that's when I moved to California in 1981. So I started going to these shops and collecting fan magazines, stories about Latinos, a lot of photographs, most of them all black and white.
And a lot of this is in the book. So again, the name of the book, let's say the name of the book, where can you get it?
Hollywood Se Habla Español.
It's a great title. And where can you get this?
Well, right now you can get it on my website, which is terramaxent.com.
Okay, so that's great. And I'll put it on my social media platforms at Monica Morales TV. But what I love is it's so many wonderful stories and pictures. It's your life woven in to the importance of preserving all the historical stories of how Hollywood was really built on the back of these incredible Latinos.
Well, I was in a high position in Hollywood, so I was able to meet a lot of wonderful, wonderful actors. But one in particular was Ricardo Montalban. The plane. Remember that?
Yes, of course I remember that.
And Ricardo and I became extremely close friends, and I told him that I was writing.
Everyone knows him.
I was writing a book about Latinos, and as you know, Monica, many times we Latinos tend to tell stories and
exaggerate.
They go different directions. But since I was trying to make a historical type of project, I wanted to fact check everything. So Ricardo and his brother were my dear friends, and when I heard stories that they contradicted themselves, I would go to Ricardo and say, is this real or is this not real? And he would give me the answer. And then if I had to re-interview people again, I would. So he was so instrumental. And one of the things that he did for me was the fact before he passed, he was sick. And he tells me, can I write the introduction to your book?
Aww.
I said, I was going to ask you. I'm glad. And he wrote the introduction to the book.
No, that's huge. And the Hollywood, again, Hispanic Hollywood Walk of Fame is what you've created. And that's what's so amazing about you is you're so humble. You're talking about all of these celebrities that you know, and including Marvel Comics. We'll talk about that coming up after this commercial, but we're going to talk a little bit about how he helped found Hostos, one of my favorite community college, Hispanic Hollywood Walk of Fame. And then there's another story, but you're going to have to stay tuned after this. We're coming right back. And we're back. I can't even believe he's here. He is a legend. Rafael Rivera is here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. May I say something?
Yes, of course.
Rafael Rivera-Viruet.
Oh, Viruet.
Because my mom, Latinos, we use the names of the father and the mother.
Yes, I use my mom's name.
And so my mom was so special to me because we were, mother and three sons. She was a single parent. And for the longest time, I was Rafael Viruet. But then I find out that it's Rivera. And then it became Rivera-Viruet.
I love that. I love to use both. I use my mom's maiden name, which is kind of wonderful. She loved it because of her, her dad and the Morales family. So now coming back, I want to talk about Hostos College because I'm a big fan. I host a lot of their fundraisers. We love Daisy, the president. But it does so much impactful work. And I know that Mackenzie Scott, Amazon, of course, all that money that she has, she found it to be a great place to fund because there's such a high impact of Hostos College in the Bronx. You were one of those you saw it before anyone else did.
Well, when I was in the early 60s, I was a congressional liaison for Congressman James Scheuer and for a New York State Assemblyman Robert Garcia, who became a congressman later on. And as I would go to the South Bronx neighborhood, I was really amazed at the fact that we didn't have any higher education in any way around. So I got together with a group of other young guys, and we started a rebel-rousing situation and picketing down in the Board of Education because we said we need to have a community college in the South Bronx.
It's amazing.
So in 1966, we got together and this wonderful gentleman went ahead and wrote a paper. We took it to the Board of Education. And 2 years later, 1968, we were accredited as a community college, and our school was at an old tire factory.
I love this story.
On 149th and Grand Concourse.
I've always wanted to get Daisy one-on-one, the president, so this is a great way. So hopefully we'll be able to do that TV story as well, because I feel like that's such a great story that it was, I can't believe that's how it started.
So we started there, and in 1970, we had the first graduating class, and it was just amazing. So after that, I decided that I would step away for a while and do other things, because I had accomplished what we wanted to do.
And boy, have you been busy ever since. So there's another book called Dream Chaser. And this is something, there's a series, right?
Yeah. Well, Dream Chaser, the most current Dream Chaser, Dream Chaser 4, I call it, is from the hills of Puerto Rico to the Hollywood Hills. And in this book, I start off in the 1960s and start with my involvement in the community and how we got the college started going. To make it happen.
Thank you for saying make it happen. That's my slogan, right, Fred? But I just happened to open up to Fidel Castro.
Well, Fidel Castro,
had a meeting with Fidel
yes. In 1978, I was working with a company called ICM. And I thought it was important that we establish some sort of a cultural exchange between Cuba and the United States. So I had a buddy in Congress, Bobby Garcia, who was at that time the congressman. And I says, Bobby, this is what I want to do. He says, can you connect me with the State Department? So he connected me with the State Department, who then connected with the State Department of Cuba.
Wow.
And then we first met the UN ambassador, Raul Roa, who loved the idea. He took it to Castro. Castro says, yes, I like the idea. And they gave me permission to go to Cuba and begin to establish a cultural agreement between the two countries. And I told them, look, we would bring our music to you and then take your music and take it to New York and Washington, D.C. and all the major outlets. They said, fine, but we want to go first. He said, that's what the Cuban said. So he says, okay, so I selected the Cuban musicians, Orquesta Aragon, Elena Burques, Los Papines, a wonderful, wonderful selection of musicians and entertainers. And we put them in Avery Fisher Hall in Lincoln Center.
Wow.
Yeah. In 1979.
This is in the 70s. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. However, there was an anti-Castro group here, and out of New Jersey, and they bombed the Avery Fisher Hall. They put a bomb in the Cuban mission, and they put a bomb in my office, but that one never went off for some reason. Okay. And
is that story in this book?
Yes.
All of this is in the book. And I just happened to open up to Zombies because we're talking about Broadway, and our mutual friend Lin-Manuel, the dad, we're both, what a wonderful patriot, social activist. But Broadway, he invited me to see his latest show with his friends, and so I went. And it was amazing. And I told you
Buena Vista Social Club.
Most amazing show. And I loved Hamilton too, but I think it's my favorite. Yeah. But I don't go to Broadway very much because I don't have a lot of time, and I'm a mom, so I don't have all this endless time. But you were saying it was your job as part of being a producer to watch for 10 years.
For 10 years, I was the head of business and CFO of a Broadway publishing company called Dramatis Play Service. And I had to go see every show. And
he had the best jobs on planet Earth.
I got so involved with it that I said to myself, after I leave here, I'm going to produce an off-Broadway show.
And you did, Zombies.
And the Zombies.
And I just happened to open up to it. It's just so happenstance. I could listen to you all day, but we're going to come back after this commercial break and tell you a little bit more, the speed round that we have, a little bit more stories, and then how your next, and I know it's going to be big, this next documentary series, which is going to preserve our history. the Hispanic experience, and how we really created so much. And a lot of times it's not, these stories aren't told, but you're going to save the day. That's coming up after the break. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back. We're back.
I wanted to show you something.
You want to show me something else? I love it. We are here with Rafael Rivera, and it's interesting. He's an author, and he's helping preserve the Hispanic story, the stories of all the incredible Hispanics in Hollywood that really launched so many different movies that you probably have seen and you love. Oh, what is this? What is this?
I have a story to tell you about Steve McQueen.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
In case you don't know who Steve McQueen is, this is who he is.
In the 1970s, when I was with ICM, I was asked by the chairman of the board to come to his office. He wanted me to meet a client that he had just signed. And I go to his office, and I meet a gentleman, and I meet him looking like this.
That's what Steve McQueen looked like when you met him.
I met him. He was doing a movie called Enemy of the People, which is a very famous book. And what he wanted to do that, but the studios, he was an action hero, and he wanted to do something serious, but the studios wouldn't do it. So he says, I want to do it myself. So he was in, so when I meet him, what happened is that he wanted to buy the car from the studio that he was in a movie called Bullet, okay? And the studio refused to sell him the car.
Was that the Ford Mustang?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I drove a Ford Mustang. That's my favorite car. That was when I was 16, I got a Ford Mustang convertible. He
wanted to get a car, so Marvin Josephson, who's the chairman of the board, says, I know the guy who can get you the car. He calls me up, I go up to meet him, and then he says to me, I want you to meet Steve McQueen.
Oh my gosh.
And I looked at him again, because I remember Steve McQueen like that.
Story. But see, these are all the stories that are in here, which is so amazing, and the pictures and everything else. So you're going to have to come back. We're going to have to do a bunch of a show and TV show and all different types of platforms. But this is my speed round. So do you mind just doing the speed round with my questions? I do this with every guest from the CEO of Ponce Bank. And thank you, Ponce Bank, for all your support for this podcast, which we really appreciate, to celebrities and hip hop artists. Okay, first of all, your personal motto. What's your personal motto? That's a tough one, but.
That's a very tough one. But my personal motto basically is education and.
I was going to say that too.
And go after your thoughts.
Ooh, go after your thoughts.
Go after your thoughts.
I've never heard it put that way. That's so good. But education is key. I feel like we have the same mom, because it's like education. Yeah, despite what everyone else says, they're like, oh, you don't need. Yeah, they can't take that away from you. Exactamundo. Biggest accomplishment in your life?
That's a tough one, because I've done so many wonderful things, and the biggest accomplishment in my life is my children.
You have two?
I have four, but I have a daughter who was a former CBS News anchor in Texas, morning anchor, and now she's running a major independent school district in Texas.
Oh wow, that's wonderful. Yeah. What's her name?
Taina Maja.
I'm Googling her as we speak.
Taina Maja Northington.
It's beautiful. And then your biggest regret? I always have to ask that. I'm always surprised by the answer. Biggest regret?
I don't have too many regrets. I feel blessed. There's always ups and downs, but I've had more ups than downs. So basically, I have no regrets.
No regrets. I love that. Like Frank Sinatra. Regrets, I have a few, too few to mention. So what's next? What's next for you, Rafael? I already know I'm going to be your agent. See, you are an agent, but I'm going to be your agent. I already have some ideas percolating who I can connect you with.
What I would planning on doing is a documentary series on small vignettes of the Hispanic Hollywood Hall of Fame that's in the book.
I think that's
And
fabulous.
I've already done the first episode, and I put it on my website.
I hope Ken Burns is watching, because that is so needed, right? We need to have a documentary series
I think it's so important for a young generation to see how trailblazers, how many trailblazers have been Latinos in film, in politics,
and
in music.
It keeps repeating itself, right? We learn from history, and there's like patterns and cycles that we see. So are we doing okay with time, Joe? Are we still okay? Do we need to? We got a minute or so. Joe is with us. We're back in the studio. I don't know how I got back in here. I think thanks to you, we got back in here, I guess. Guests like you that make this podcast happen. I hope you can comment and watch and share on all of your platforms. But will you come back and visit us?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any last words? One more plug, maybe, where we can get all of these books?
Yes. The first two books are on Amazon Kindle. It's called Dream Chaser 1, The Early Years, and then Dream Chaser 2, which is growing up in the South Bronx. This is Dream Chaser 3, the 1970s, the business of showbiz, and all the crazy things that went on in the 1970s.
Unbelievable.
And this is my new book, which just won the best biography in November of this
Yeah, I
past.
saw you just got an award for it. That's incredible. Yeah, I got to read through this. Thanks for, I know you gave these to me. I'm going to have you sign them too.
Oh, it's good.
Okay, I need that. And thank you
would love
everyone
to.
for always watching and supporting us on all of our different platforms. But don't forget, we're on Pix 11 every night at 5:45 and 6:45, making it happen for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Such an honor to meet you.
Gracias.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's make it happen together.